Hey guys, how's it going? Today we've got a couple of things to work on. First, I wanted to walk through the process of deadheading bulbs. Which ones to deadhead, which ones you don't have to worry about deadheading, so on and so forth. We're starting here in the pond area because I wanted to show you some snowdrops. Then we're going to head out to the cut flower garden, which is where we're going to do the rest of our work. We've got a lot of bulbs out there, both daffodils and tulips, which I'm going to be treating a little bit different than the rest of my bulbs that are out in the garden. And I also have some flower seedlings I'd like to get planted as well. So first off, we've got these snowdrops right here. Just planted them this last fall, and they're all around the perimeter of the pond, and they're looking a little sparse at the moment, and I would love for them to naturalize, which means I want them to fill in and spread out in this area kind of on their own. And snowdrops, along with a lot of the other smaller growing bulbs and earlier blooming bulbs like crocus, scillas, muscari, I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but they spread both by bulb offsets. So you plant your original bulb and then they'll produce little bulbs off the side of that main bulb and they'll kind of spread that way, but they can also spread by seed. So instead of coming in and trimming back their spent blooms right when they're done blooming, we leave the little stalks here so they can form their little seed pods. And they're kind of cute looking, and these are getting real spent, but I want them to kind of dry out and so the seeds are mature and ready, and then the seed pods can break open and they will spread themselves around. I did open one up. In fact, we'll just cut one open so you guys can see. Okay, I'm trying to do this with just one hand. There we go. So if you take a look inside one of those pods, whoop, we'll get it in the center there. Are we focused? There we go. Look at those. Those seeds aren't quite mature yet, but you can kind of see it's a good example of what they do, and there's more on this side as well. Look at that. That one bloom producing all of those seeds. It's amazing. We're just going to do this just in case. Just in case they'll take. So if you're not wanting your bulbs to naturalize, you can go in and cut off the bloom stalks earlier than this, like right when they're done blooming, which these snowdrops have been out of bloom for quite a long time. Or you can let them go, which is what I'm doing. So we're not going to actually mess with these. I just wanted to show them to you. We're going to let the foliage completely yellow and die back. We'll let the bloom stalks die back and the seed pods just hang out and open on their own. Now for tulips and daffodils, let's head to the cut flower garden. You can see our rows of tulips and daffodils there, but real quick before we head over there, I did want to show you this container. This was planted with Iris reticulata. There is a muscari in here as well. It snuck in. I don't know how that happened. I don't really have any other bulbs that are ready like these are, just because these grew a lot earlier because they were in the heated greenhouse. We're going to transplant these today. And you can transplant bulbs pretty much any time, and we have decent luck, but the best time is to do it right after their foliage dies back like this. In fact, doing it while you remove the foliage, because you can still see where the bulbs are, is the best way to do it, because they've had a chance to soak up all the sunshine, and that's the whole point of leaving the leaves on. They sit there, they soak up sunshine, feed the bulb, and get it all ready and energized and stocked up for the bloom season the next year. So I waited for these iris to look like this in order to put them out in the landscape. And let's take a look at what the bulbs look like. I'm gonna dig down in here a little bit. Oh, see, this is a great example. Okay, so we had one bulb that we planted, and now we can spread it into two. So that's one of the ways that they will spread, other than the seed pods. I can feel there's two inside here. See that right there? That was the original on the left, and this one right here is the offset it produced this year. I don't know. I'll probably just plant them together this time around. Let's take a look at the muscari. Kind of nice to have an example of it. More iris right here. Muscari spread like crazy. So you can see the original bulb here, and there are offsets all over the place. This one was very happy. A lot of people will warn you against muscari because it does spread really quickly. It's a very hard one to eradicate, so keep that in mind. However, I love them. I think they're the sweetest things, and I've got them planted en masse in our orchard, and they're just the sweetest purple color, and they smell so good. And then these are the seedlings we're going to be planting today. All over Rudbeckia and our Echinops. Our retro Echinops, which is a globe thistle. I think I'm going to plant those out in a flower bed though. Wonder how much longer these sprinklers are going to be on. Ugh. It's not overly hot today, but we've had so much wind, it just dries everything out, and we're supposed to get more wind this afternoon. So I'm hoping that we get our projects done before that starts in. Hopefully it's not another windstorm like last time. I can't really get to the daffodils yet without getting wet, so let's talk about tulips. You can see right here, this is the lily flowered tulip. In the landscape, when you've got tulips planted, if you want them to have the best chance at blooming again the next year, you want to deadhead them. Which means once they have dropped all of their petals, we go in and take out the stalk like that. And I leave some leaves, sometimes more leaves than I just left right there. Here's another example. You follow the stalk down, cut it out, and that just allows the plant to send a ton more energy into the bulb rather than trying to form anything up here on top. So that's one thing we're going to work on out here today. I've got this whole row of tulips right here and in front of me a little bit. This is the row of perfect tulips, and those are all ready to be deadheaded. And then we've got the row of lily flowered, which some are not ready to cut yet. In fact, we'll probably cut some and take some inside. And some are ready to be deadheaded. Doubles, kind of the same business. Some are ready, some aren't. And then daffodils, you can see the whole row right there. Daffodils are easy. The only reason why we deadhead daffodils is for aesthetic purposes only. You can leave the bloom stalk on, the leaves, until they yellow and die back, remove them all at the same time, and you're good to go. Daffodils are easy to take care of. So I'm not gonna mess with that row. I'm just gonna be focusing on the tulips, and I think what I wanna do is I think I'm gonna leave all of these bulbs until they're ready to be dug up, like yellowed, dead foliage. I think I'm gonna store them in the root cellar for the summer and plant them back out here in the fall so that I do not have to rebuy tulips. I don't think there are any varieties in particular that I want to eliminate. They all did beautifully. So it will be an experiment, but I have read, I've never done it before, I've read as long as that bulb has a chance to charge up and you dig it and clean them off and you just store them like in a dry, cool spot. It doesn't have to be like overly temperature controlled, but we don't have much in our root cellar throughout the course of the summer. And I always feel a little bit bad running it for that time, just for the small amount that we keep in there. So if we can hold over all of these bulbs and have a good crop out of them next year, wouldn't that be awesome? And then we could just add a few varieties every year, and then eventually maybe we'll have this whole section full of bulbs. So that is the plan. Now all we need to do is go down these rows of tulips and get whatever needs to be deadheaded. I'll probably just take off the stalks too. I'll just leave all the leaves. The more leaves you leave, the more you leave, the more sunshine and energy they can soak up. We're basically just removing that top, the stalk and the top right there. Easy peasy. Okay, so let's just get it done. Pretty good. So we've got the whole row of best tulips done. There's one section of daffodils at the end, but again, we're just going to leave those until they're all done. And then we just did the varieties that needed it in the other two rows. So we've got a little bit of color yet. Some of them it was a little bit hard. Usually I wait to deadhead until all the petals have fallen, but there were some that were so close, even though they had some color, they were so close that it was better just to do it while I was out here. So we got the rosy diamonds were some of my favorite doubles that we had out here. And I bet you those had maybe a day left, especially if the breeze picks up this afternoon. They'll probably would have probably lost all their petals had we not deadheaded them today. So this is what we did. We deadheaded and then just tucked the stems in the rows. So I forgot to bring out a pop-up bag, but it doesn't really matter because we are going to be cleaning up these rows hopefully in a couple, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, toward the end of May. It's going to be hard to look at them getting all yellow because they're planted so close to where we see them all the time. But I think it's worth it to try the experiment of saving them. Okay, we are going to head over to this area to plant our Rudbeckia. As we're driving around to that section, you can see just an example of the daffodils in flower beds. Now, in more congested areas of plants, you probably wouldn't notice spent blooms, but in areas where it's still sort of open and we haven't developed the whole flower bed yet, I would notice those spent blooms. So this is what they look like when you deadhead. They're just like little nice grassy clumps, and they're just throughout, and it just makes them look nice and tidy. In the orchard here, you can still see some muscari blooming. Okay, for our Rudbeckia, we've got 4 different varieties, and I've been wheeling these in and out of the greenhouse, and I left them outside on too cold of a night. They got a little bit of dark color on their leaves, but overall they look really good. We've got Sahara, which is one of my favorite varieties. It almost is like 4 or 5 varieties mixed into one. You get different colors of flower, different styles of flower. Some are singles, some are doubles, some are kind of a mauve pink, some are orange, some are more yellow, some are more apricot. It's just a really beautiful mix. Then we've got Prairie Sun, Orange Fudge, and Cherry Brandy. So all of these are usually labeled either an annual or tender perennial, which means that here in the Zone 6, they don't normally come back for us. So I treat them as an annual, but they are very easy to grow from seed and so worth it to put in a spot like this, somewhere where they get full sun, they don't need a tremendous amount of water, and they flower just nonstop. Once they start going for it, like midsummer, they go until a good hard frost. So we are going to actually plant these in the row that we worked up initially for potatoes. Then we ended up planting the potatoes 1 row over. So I thought that we could start them right here at the beginning. I'm going to have to go get some drip tape though. You can see I haven't run that yet. But we gotta go get some drip tape in the barn.
Yeah, hold on.
Hey, you wanna know something?
This is what a strawberry flower looks like.
And did you know that that will become a strawberry?
Yes.
All right, let's go to the barn. Okay, we are ready to go. Look at that, drip tape has been run. And the other day when we prepped this row, I spread Biotone starter fertilizer and Land and Sea before I worked up the soil. So that's all been worked in. It's going to be easy planting. We don't even need a shovel or a trowel. We can just pop the plants in this loose soil. And if you get in here, you can see we use the drip tape with emitters every 6 inches. And these need to be placed or planted every 12 inches. So we can plant one right at an emitter and then skip an emitter, go down one, and it's very easy to get our spacing right. And when we do the other side, I like to choose the emitter that's closest to in between, so we kind of end up with a zigzag. And with Rudbeckia, you can go every 12 to 18 inches, so we could spread them a little further. I like to do them a little bit tighter. And with drip tape, it always seems odd, but you put the emitter facing up, because if any sediment ends up getting into the drip tape somehow, it will settle toward the bottom instead of toward the top, so you'll have there's less likelihood of the emitter plugging up. But what we have to do is just pop these out. Look at that. I might give the root system just a little fluff on the end. And then I've got to start down here. It's more muddy though because of the grass sprinklers that just went off. But we'll just do one of these and get it planted just like that. So easy. I might have to shift that one based on where it ends up in my lineup. And this will probably be a pretty quick planting project. So here we go. Well, that was just about the most pleasant planting project ever, and they took up a lot more of the row than I thought they were going to. This is going to be so pretty. So they start right here, and I did make sure to pop them in just a little ways because I'm so bad about doing that, to where I want to like get every last inch planted, and then they end up flopping over the grass and ruining the grass, which is exactly what happened over here. Let me show you. This is my mark of shame right here. Like, look at the grass. I planted zinnias right here, and they just went over on both sides to where the grass was not getting proper water, and it killed some spots. So I'm going to be pretty careful about that. Anyway, they look really good, and I'm happy about this whole space out here. It's going to be so fun. And then we've got a little bit of space at the end here where we can plant some other things. And it's so fun to see the strawberries already loaded up. Oh my goodness, we're going to have another bang up strawberry year, I think. It's looking good. And so far the breeze has it's behaving itself. But I need to run to the barn to get my 2-inch auger, because the rest of the things that we have to plant are the Echinops, the retro Echinops, which are so pretty, you guys. They're blue globe flowers. They are a perennial. That's why I want to plant them out in the flower bed somewhere. And then we've got the reticulata iris, both of which do not have very big root balls. Whoa, can it make the turn? Can it make it? Oh, it can. Awesome. Who are you? Who are you? Kitty, kitty, kitty? Kitty, 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 I can see you. I know you're trying to be very still. I think you've got a collar on. Who do you belong to? I'll probably freak it out if I try to get out. Oh, pretty kitty. And this is where I think I'd like to work them in. They grow about 2.5 to 4 feet tall, and you're supposed to space them out every 18 to 24 inches or so. So I can really kind of spread them a distance in this area. And we've got a Temple of Bloom heptacodium, some totem pole grasses. There's some quickfire hydrangeas in here. These roses are pink, so the blue blooms would look really pretty. And we've got some daffodil foliage in here. So I thought if I kind of worked them around and had something fluffy around those grasses, that might be nice. And I am going to make sure to kind of tuck them back in here so we still have room to come in with some shorter things as well. But these will be easy using the 2-inch auger there. This is the Laura Edition auger. It'll make quick work of it. And here they are, worked in throughout this area, kind of starting over there by the Midnight Masquerade penstemon that we just planted, worked around the totem pole grasses, and sort of tucked behind this first pink rose here. And we ended up with 30 plants. Some of those cells had more than one plant, like 2 or 3 that we were able to separate. So it always amazes me that a $5.75 packet of seed can create 30 brand new perennials for your garden. And I know there's other costs involved with the grow light and the seed trays and all that, but all of those things you use over and over and over again. But there's something so awesome about that. And I think that these will look great in this area. Okay, our last chore is to get these Iris reticulata planted. So what I need to do first is dig them all out of this container to see how many we've got. And the wind is sort of starting to pick up a bit. iris in the ground. We had quite a number of them, and I just dug a little hole and put them all in that hole. Because we've got a storm moving in, we're supposed to have heavy rainfall and wind. And you can see it's starting to pick up now. So I'm going to try to run around and get all my stuff done because I've got to get trees watered and the greenhouse watered and everything closed up before that arrives. But we got our planting projects done, so I'm so excited about that. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.